When I go out and I buy a new gun, I'm very excited about it. I often want to show it to somebody, and pretty much every time I make a video about it and share it with the world about this cool new gun that I've just got the chance to shoot. But there's millions of Americans going out still and buying guns, and then they're too ashamed to admit it, so they're secretly hiding it while they speak out against it. Well, what am I getting at? Now, before we talk about this, I do want to take a moment and thank our sponsor, ES Power Drink, for making this delicious drink with Trinidad scorpion peppers. The world has not even begun to understand the health benefits of being able to eat these super, super hot peppers. But I can't eat super hot peppers. And even if I could, I don't want to. It's just too darn uncomfortable for me. And every time I eat something really hot, I think to myself, oh, what have I done to my stomach? But with this drink, you can build up a tolerance to that, and it just heats up your body, and it gets your burning calories. It gets you boosting your immune system. You sleep better. So I'm going to recommend it. A friend that made this, he lost 110 pounds in 7 months. I've lost almost 40 pounds now. Week ago, I was saying a little over 30, but I'm more like at 37 now. And it's not just that. I'm also exercising like crazy. I'm eating right, but it's just a simple addition. A lot of people are taking some pretty toxic injections to lose weight in America right now. This is a much better way to do it, in my personal opinion. That link is below. In 2020, there was a massive increase in new gun owners. Literally tens of millions of Americans who did not own guns decided, I better get a gun. And since then, after that massive increase, every year it's gone down. The number of new gun owners has gone down a little bit. But what we've seen is a trend in Americans who typically are anti-Second Amendment, are owning guns. And many of these Americans are doing it secretly because they're saying with their mouths, you shouldn't own a gun. Guns are dangerous. Guns kill people. But yet with their actions, they're thinking to themselves, I better go get a gun because, in the end, they still care about life and preservation of life and that sort of thing. When they look at their own self-defense and the defense of their families, they think, we better do something. And typically that's where most Americans go when they buy their first gun is let's start with, you don't need to be ashamed of that. You don't need to hide that. That's a very normal reaction. If you're looking around at the world and you're thinking to yourself, I should probably get a gun to protect myself and to protect my family, that's a very normal thing. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. You shouldn't be hiding that sort of thing. But even though the amount of guns sold every year is going down a little bit since 2020, the demographic of people that are anti-Second Amendment is going up. So let's just kind of look at this for a little bit, because ultimately we have 32% of U.S. adults say, I own a gun in this house. 68% that don't say that, whether they own one or not, they say they don't. 36% of them say they do plan on owning a gun in the future. So again, let's just kind of look at that. So you got 68% of Americans saying, I don't own a gun. And then you have 36% of those Americans who don't own guns saying that they do plan on buying a gun in the future. Now, if they don't own a gun already, they're probably anti-Second Amendment. If they're, a lot of people just become adults and then they go get a gun. But if you're in your 50s and 60s and you're just now buying a gun, chances are there's been this sense of, I'm against guns. Now, that may not be the case. I'm making a lot of assumptions there. So let's just look at facts. What you have is the largest increase of percentage of gun owners in America, where it is increased. So let's just say you have 100 people in this state and 50 of them own guns, and then the next year 54 of them. They're looking at the biggest increase. Because even though Montana, Alaska, Wyoming always kind of lead the top of the most guns sold, this is the biggest increase in gun owners. And they're all blue states. It's Illinois. I mean, if I lived in Illinois, I want a couple guns on me all the time, especially if I lived near Chicago, New Hampshire, New York, Rhode Island, Colorado, and Delaware. And North Carolina as well. These are the states with the largest increase in percentage of new gun owners, are mostly blue states. They just are. But I don't blame them. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to what I said in the beginning. Don't be ashamed of this. It's okay. I understand why you want a gun. You want a gun for the same reason I want a gun. I don't want to rely on you telling me that somebody's going to save me when deep down I know I'm going to have to save myself. I don't want to rely on somebody telling me that somebody's going to save my family. I need to save my family myself. You need to rely on yourself and yourself only. And you do that with firearms. So don't be ashamed of it. Just simply don't be ashamed of it. You know, there's an estimated 17 million guns sold in 2023, and a vast majority of these went towards Montana, Alaska, Wyoming, but then Illinois, New York, places like that. Because people aren't foolish. You know, I mean, even though they might be foolish in the things they say, deep down they're going to do the right thing. They're going to want to protect themselves. And they're going to want to protect their families. So they're going out and buying guns while they continue to speak out against them. That's why, you know, you got millions of Americans really continuing to secretly buy guns. I can almost promise you that a good chunk of those Americans who said, you know, I plan on owning a gun in the future, probably own a gun already. They just don't want to admit it. So there you go. Still millions of Americans secretly buying guns just because they're embarrassed. And I get it. You're kind of speaking out against it while you're being a hypocrite and doing the thing. And it's okay. Exercise your Second Amendment right, even if you are a hypocrite. It's okay. It is okay. It's your Second Amendment right. That's your First Amendment right. Like, come on, just exercise your constitutional rights. So any thoughts or insight on any of that, definitely put it below. You know, I just think as Americans, we need to just kind of wake up to the reality that you just need a gun. You live in America, you need a gun. Have a gun on you. Don't be a fool. If you get up today and you get ready for the day, put a gun on your hip. Even if you don't want to admit it, you're better off with that gun on your hip. Any thoughts or insight, definitely put that below. Do want to take a moment and say that most people watch this channel, non-subscribers, click that subscribe button. It greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.